Alright guys, well, I guess we can start this out. I can tell you that you won't be getting the same shit that you hear from all these other YouTube people with the, hey, it's your boy. I'm not doing that. What I will do is walk you through what I'm doing and kind of give you an overview. First thing that I would recommend is getting yourself organized and make sure you've got everything that you need pulled out and ready to go. We've got our meat, our beans, can of peeled tomatoes, 2 cans of tomato paste, onions, sweet peppers, celery, cilantro, garlic, and chipotle peppers. And that's going to be our basic base for how we're going to do this. Now there will be other things we'll use, like we're going to use seasonings like cumin, salt, pepper, obviously. If you've got a little onion powder, feel free to use that. I have some fermented tomatoes that I dehydrated that I'll probably be using some of. So to get started, you need to cut up your vegetables, because most of this is going to go in with your meat to get some color on it. So grab a few of the different colors if you want. That's probably good there. Just kind of make a judgment on how much you think everybody that you're cooking for will do. I cook a little more than everybody else because I cook for myself and for my wife and my father-in-law, and so be a little safe than sorry. I cook a little extra than I probably should, and then we have leftovers. The leftovers are good. Alright, so 1 can of the beans I want to drain out. 1 can I want the juice from, so leave those where they're at. Alright, this is a chef's knife. I know it's not the kind you guys are probably used to seeing. This is actually a Chinese chef's knife. It's one of my favorites. I find it far superior to the other brands of chef knives, other styles of chef knives, like the French chef knives, which is what you're probably used to seeing. So what we're going to do, trash chopped veggies. So go ahead and cut that off. Oh, before I forget, so I don't get my super nice clothes dirty, because you know, that's me. Let's get the apron on here. Cleanliness in the kitchen is super importante, which is Mexican for important, I think. I don't know. I don't speak Spanish. Right. There's one. We'll get the other one done and we can start. Alright, so I asked my wife, the wife, trademark, how I should do this. If I should do it, you know, like the nice dad thing, or if I should be my usual kind of dark sardonic self. And she said that I should do a bit of both. So I'll probably say some inappropriate things and make some inappropriate jokes, and once I get a little more used to this, I'll probably be a little more fun. But this is kind of nerve-wracking. Hell, I don't even know if you can see what I'm doing at this point. What you want to do though, you want to run your knife through these using a rocking pattern. Now, a lot of culinary professionals will tell you not to hold it like that. Tell you to pinch it like that. I find it easier to pinch it here and use my finger to point in the direction of what I'm chopping. But you do whatever you find best. Now, we both know it's real easy to screw up and cut your damn finger off. So make sure, regardless of which one you think is better, that you keep your fingers tucked when you're cutting. You know, I'm sitting here talking, running my mouth, and I have no idea if you guys can hear me when this all is said and done. Alright, so again, I like varying textures, so I like to have different size cuts. Some I like to leave whole, some I like to mince up. It really just depends on what kind of textures you like. But for me, I like having different types of sizes and shapes in my food. That right there is one of the reasons why I always say that the Chinese chef's knives are superior, because this thing can be used to cleave vegetables, to cleave meat, to do just about anything. And then you can use it for a scraper, transport your stuff. Now, if you're like me, sometimes I fuck up and don't go all the way through with my cuts, so just gotta be aware of that, especially when I get to talking and not paying attention to what I'm doing. For those that don't know, I was a chef for a lot of years. I was okay. I mean, I got by. I wasn't anything special. I was at several local restaurants before. Being a chef was the cool thing to do. But now I'm disabled. I don't work anymore. My hands don't work quite the way they used to. So, you know, bear with me. I will try to do the best that I can. I still have a lot of experience and knowledge that I can pass on to folks. I just may not be the best or most precise anymore. Now, we got our peppers cut. These add a lot of dimension to the food. It gives it a depth of flavor that you don't really know where it comes from. It's a little bit of sweetness, a little bit of floral. It's a really nice combination. Alright, as far as onions go, as far as I'm concerned, you can't really beat Vidalia. The Vidalia onions have the best flavor, but they're not available everywhere. But if you can get your hands on them, go with Vidalia. If not, Spanish onions, get Spanish yellows, or even red onions are fine. Just depends on what your personal preference is. Somebody's watching me on the Nest thing and it's really uncomfortable. Don't watch me on Nest. Alright, we cut off the top of the onion, cut it in half, just like that. You're going to cut the top off, which is the stem end, but you want to leave the hairy end or the root end on. Why? Because see, here you can do whatever you want to with the onion, doesn't come apart. But if you cut the root end, it just goes everywhere. So leave the root end, put your hand here flat on the onion, squeeze your knife, run it through, and then do it again. Don't do like I just did and go all the way through though. Try to leave it attached there. Then take your knife, cut through in about the size chunks that you would want them. Turn it again and cut down. And you have perfectly diced onions. Quick and easy. So I'm going to show you again because I'm going to do a whole onion. You do want to cut the onion in half before you do this. Don't try to do a whole onion because part of the attraction to this is that there's a flat side now that can lay down and not slide everywhere while you're trying to cut and make you lose a finger. So this time I'm going to try not to go all the way through. Cut off about right there. Do the same up here. Cut off about right there. And see, the onion is still all together. Even when you cut here, if you don't go all the way down to the root end, I can still pick it up and it's still together. It's not until you make these cuts that it'll all come apart for you. So, use your chef's knife there, transfer the onions over, and you should be good. Alright, so we got our onions, we got our peppers. This one might throw you a little bit, but celery is another great add-on to your chili. You want to make sure you cut it fine though, because you don't want to get random chunks of celery in there. But it adds a depth of flavor and almost a earthy quality to your celery, or to your chili. Now I guess I'm going to have to cut the whole damn bag. Alright. You don't have to do a lot. Just grab 1, 2, 3. That's about all you really need, I believe. And this one, you do want to try to cut thin. Unless you're a big celery fan, then cut it however you like it. But I prefer the thinner cut. The white ends are usually kind of woody. You probably don't want them. Put your cut peppers there, or sorry, cut celery there. This is not Food Network, people. I don't know why you expect all this out of me. I'm doing this for free. God, people are just unreasonable. Alright. And number 3. Alright, now I like to run my knife through it a couple times in different directions to try to bust it up, because I don't want big chunks of celery really. I just kind of want the flavor, and the smaller I can make these chunks, the more it will cook down and just impart the flavor. So run your knife through it a few times. Alright, now we got us some celery, also goes in the pot here. Alright, so onions done, put those away. Peppers done, we can put those away. Celery done, you guessed it, we can fucking put those away. Why do I have to explain everything to you guys? Are you slow? I don't care what you do, personally. So yeah, as you can see, my pantry, it's a little disorganized, but also it's very organized. We're just out of space. And my refrigerator here is very organized as well. There's one thing that I can impart to you folks is that organization is the key to happiness. Everything has a place. You put it where it's supposed to go, you'll always be able to find it. Alright, so now our next step, I cut and grind my own meat here so I can control the fat content. I buy a pre-made beef from Costco, and it's a very low fat content, and because it's such a low fat content, I go to my local butcher and just buy straight up fat, beef fat, and then I take the beef fat and the ground beef, and then I have a KitchenAid there that I have a grinder attachment to, so I make my own grind, which is about roughly a 30% fat. So depending on what your preferences are, 80-20 is 80-20. Alright, now here's something that I'm going to teach you that I don't think anybody seems to know anymore. This is a stove. This stove has controls. All the way up is not the only setting that you have. What you want to do is turn it all the way up on high, let your pan get warm, and then lower the temperature. You have different temperatures for a reason. Use the different settings. I prefer cooking on gas, but when we had to replace the stove here, my mother-in-law was still alive and she was on oxygen, so we had to switch over to this it's supposedly a induction style, but it's actually just a an old school electric that they've just dolled up. So you want to wait until this gets hot, add in your beef, salt, pepper, your seasonings, and then your veg. So here's what I can tell you. It's time to clean. One of the biggest complaints I have about cooking with other people is cleanliness. I can't stand it. I don't want a dirty station. You shouldn't either. You keep your kitchen clean while you're cooking, it stays clean. If you leave it dirty, it stays dirty. If you clean while you cook, then you don't have nearly as much to clean later. So now I got a little bit of meat juice there, so I'm going to hit it with a little Lysol. Let it sit for a second and wipe it off while the pan gets hot. Now again, this is just for the time being. I'll do a deep clean tonight after everybody's ate and I go to run the dishwasher. That's when I'll go through and clean everything and let everything kind of set. Use some simple green, or maybe if I feel like it's necessary, use some bleach on it and just let it set and dry. Alright, that is much better. So let's check on our temperatures a little bit better. Go ahead and, that noise is important. That noise means that the pan's appropriately hot, because what you want is caramelization of your meat. Apparently I didn't pull this out soon enough for it to get completely thawed, so it's still partially frozen, so forgive me there, but you know, again, I'm doing this for free, so shut the fuck up. So cross-contamination is important. If you've handled raw meat, make sure you wash your hands before you just stick them in here. I just handled the raw meat, so I'm going to do a quick little rinse here. Put this back for when I cut the cilantro. Wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your dirty mitts. Alright. Fair enough. Alright. Now that we've got the beef in here and it's starting to make a little headway with the heat, now's the time to turn it down. About halfway up usually works fine. 1 pinch of salt, 2 pinches of salt. Alright. And now my pinch is 3 fingers, so it's a decent sized pinch. Black pepper, there's not a whole lot in there, so you just kind of want to season it to taste, you know, if you like pepper or not. Now, cumin is my favorite spice, and I find that it adds a lot. Well, if you can get it open, it adds a lot to everything. But fortunately, I have a bag of cumin somewhere up here, right there. So if I can't get that open, I'll just use this. Cumin is one of those things that you'll add it to your food and people will be like, what's that flavor? I can't place it. It's so good. It's just earthy. It's got a dark tone to it. That's cumin. Cumin's what does that for you. Alright, so now we got that cooking. Let's go ahead and get our veggies. We're going to go put those in there. And make sure you get everything out of here. You know, the old waste not, want not thing. Go ahead and grab your garlic. You can get fresh garlic, you can chop garlic, you can get the garlic and oil that's pre-chopped. Do whatever you think's best. I like this stuff. It's really easy to use, and it's just as good as fresh garlic in my opinion. Alright, so we're going to move this camera now because I believe we're done over here. So now I'm going to put this boy right here. Alright, what you want to do is cook till the ground beef is completely browned and the vegetables are soft. So I turned it down to 5. I think it probably needs to be a little higher, so I'm going to turn it up to 7. For this, I took some tomatoes and some cherry tomatoes and I fermented them in one of my ferment jars here, and fermented them for about 3 weeks. And I took them out of there, drained them, and I put them in my dehydrator right here, and I dehydrated them for about 2 days. And then I ground them up in my spice grinder, which is honestly just a coffee grinder, and I came up with dehydrated fermented tomato powder, and that stuff's really good. So I like to do powders and ferments and stuff like that. I like to play around in the kitchen when I'm not too stressed out, which is, you know, 90% of the time. So let's get this cooking. Now this pot, I know you're looking at it and going, that's a weird pot. It's actually a pressure cooker, but we don't really use a lot of pots in the house. We have 2 pressure cookers and a lot of cast iron. But since most people don't have a pressure cooker, I'm going to just use it like a normal pot. So don't think anything's different there. Most of my cookware is here. You guys can see I kind of keep with the cast iron stuff. And then my nice knives are in here. You know, lockbox. You know, we're trying to do fostering, and all your sharp utensils have to be locked up. And I did have those out on that bar as a knife, or as this is a magnet. I had the knives up there, but that kind of got taken away when we decided to try to foster, which is going really, 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 really slow. It's almost like they're trying to delay it, but you know, they keep saying COVID is the reason. I don't know. We'll see. We've done everything that we can do. That's the best that we can do, right? Alright, so cilantro. Cilantro is kind of polarizing. Either you like it or you have really terrible taste and your parents raised a horrible human being. So I don't know if that's controversial, but either way, your parents hate you. Alright, now these stems have a lot of flavor. That's why I don't pick the leaves off, but I also don't want to go all the way down to the bottom, because then you have little stems in your food. So there's your cilantro. Run your knife through it both directions. We're not really looking to do anything crazy. And rinse this out. So I'm going to take my cilantro and put it in here. What I'll probably do is, I got 2 heads of cilantro, so I'll probably take that other head and throw it in the dehydrator over there and make some cilantro powder. So as you guys can see, it's coming together. Now we've just got to do the cooking part. Alright. So I'll probably turn this off for now, because I'm about at the point where I just have to wait for it to cook, and I don't want to run these batteries down. So I'll be back. Alright, so as you can see, we've let this get a little color on it. See that everything's cooked through. You don't want everything to be mush exactly, but you do want things to be more translucent, like you can see through the onions there. And just cook through, and as you can see, you've got a decent setup there. Now, earlier I told you to have 2 cans of tomato paste, can of tomatoes, San Marzano are the best tomatoes, 2 cans of beans, 1 drained. So the first thing we want to do, take the drained beans and add them in while there's still fat in the pan. And we want to take all the paste out of one of the cans, not both, just the one, and put that in there as well. What you're doing with this is a process called rusting. It helps that tomato flavor get further into the vegetables and gives it a darker, more robust flavor. Alright, don't throw that can away yet though. Alright, so now you got that in there, mix it all around. You get that tomato paste out there really well. Get it in as much as you can, make sure it's spread around. I don't know if you can see any of that, but make sure that you get it spread out here. And let it cook for a few more minutes. We'll come back and see how it goes in just a second. Wonder if I can do this. No, it's gonna fall. It's gonna fall. Alright. You'll notice a different smell when it's ready to be moved forward. Now you don't really want to drain that unless you're overly concerned with fat content, I find that it adds to the chili to leave it alone. If you're concerned about the fat content, feel free to drain it out. That's completely on you. I'll think you're weak. I'll think you're a sissy. But, you know, do what you want. I don't care. Alright. So now, this is your basic chili base. Now from here you can do just about anything. Me personally, I'm a big fan of spice, so normally I would add some hot peppers in there and kind of go from there, but my father-in-law, I cook for him as well, and he can't really do spice, so I can't really put any hot peppers in there, but that's those dehydrated fermented tomatoes I told you about there. Since he can't do them, I have chipotles that actually I just reused the jar, but I just buy a can of chipotles, chop them up, stuff them back in that jar, and then I can just spoon in the amount that I want. So chipotle, I don't think chipotles are excessively hot. I don't think they're hot at all, really. They're just a very smoky, mellow pepper. Alright, now as you can see, got a nice base for chili. If you've had chili before, which, I mean, come on, who hasn't? That's a decent base. Alright, so next we want to take the can of beans that we did not drain, and we want to add those in. I like this, I get these at Costco. They're organic tri-bean, dark red kidney, pinto, and black. I like those. And then your tomatoes. Now, you can do this one of two ways. You can do this, which is how I prefer to do it. Just kind of squeeze them by hand. It's a little messy, but that's kind of, you know, so is life. What's your point? And don't worry, in this time of COVID, you should be washing your hands any damn way. So this is generally how I prefer to do it, is to squeeze them by hand. You get the best texture, I think, that way. These are peeled San Marzanos, so you shouldn't get a lot of skin either. You can buy crushed tomatoes if you prefer, or you can use fresh tomatoes, but honestly, in my opinion, good canned tomatoes are as good as fresh tomatoes, because honestly, they're picked when they're at their best ripeness, and then they're canned. I mean, how can you beat that? Alright, last, certainly not least, is one more can of paste. Tomato paste is a good thickener, as well as a nice depth adding machine. Alright, so once again, we're going to stir. And make sure everything's incorporated. Turn the heat down to about a 3. Now at this point, you should have, as you've seen me do, you should have been seasoning things as you go, but you need to taste things as you go as well. So taste and see where you're at. That's pretty solid. I think it needs more salt, so I'm going to put another pinch and another pinch. Disperse it again. Try it again, see where we're at. And yeah, you can use the same spoon. You're cooking for your family. Just, they'll be fine. Still think we can use a little more salt, but that's much better than it was, and it was good to begin with. So I think we're doing all right. So now that you've tasted it for your salt content, your spice content, yeah, that's good. I'm gonna add a little more pepper. And maybe a little more cumin, just for shits and giggles. One of the most important things that you can do as a cook, though, is learn your spices and what you like and what they taste like and how much of it you like. So once you learn that, you can pretty much do anything. So let's try this out, see where it's at. Tastes like a winner to me. Now I'm going to turn. Switch cameras. My other one died, so I have no idea how all this worked out, or what all you guys heard, what you guys didn't hear, or what got cut off. So, you know, I got new batteries ordered. Hopefully they'll be here pretty directly. Alright, so this is the finished product. It's got a good consistency. Now, I use sweet peppers. If you don't use sweet peppers, that's fine. You may have to add a pinch or two of sugar in there to cut the acid from the tomatoes. It's up to you. Some people say that it's gross that way. I think they're fucking idiots. Alright. So all that's left now is to plate it up. So let's go get our plating. Alright. Wife put this stuff up, so I gotta find it. Can never tell what she did with it. There it is. Sour cream. A little bit of cheese. Alright. I'm gonna make one bowl here. Please forgive the stupid ass bowls. They were inherited. I think they're hideous, but we're gonna push forward with it. Alright, so a couple scoops of chili. Alright, top it with a little cheese. Sour cream, a little cilantro, and if you're like me and you like the peppers, take a spoonful of your chipotle. Right here on the side. Serve it with my personal favorite, club crackers. I like the multi-grain rather. They seem to be the best to me. That's dinner. Hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll try again next time, see if we can do something different. Hopefully this came out pretty well. I hope you all enjoy it. If you have any questions, hit me up on the social medias, leave a comment, you know, the usual shit. I'm not gonna do that like, share, subscribe shit because I find that really fucking annoying when they say it, but you know, like, share, subscribe. Alright, see y'all later. Thanks.